In Chicago, they have quarterback, it's like quarterback derangement syndrome. Like they get very defensive if you criticize Caleb Williams. And this week, Ben Johnson addressed the fact that his quarterback has a bizarrely low 58% completion percentage.
I know what the stats say. Throw those out the window. He's doing a really good job managing the ball game, and that's step number one for the quarterback. And so he's going to continue to get better. He's doing the process is really good right now with how he approaches the week, the way he's taking the coaching, the way he's applying the coaching. I'm very pleased with that, and I think we're going to continue to see him ascend, whether the stats tell the story or not.
So, I mean, here's the thing with Caleb. He is a big play quarterback. Bears lead the NFL in big plays, so his ceiling, high. And he's also really inaccurate. But instead of just talking about Caleb Williams, I'm going to combine Caleb Williams and Bo Nix because they're very similar. Both talented, both in a rookie contract, both uneven, both miss on some layups, both make big plays, right? Both have offensive coaches, Sean Payton, Ben Johnson. And yet, there's a lot of criticism of both. How are they winning? Does quarterback play even matter anymore? How is Denver a number 2 seed? How is Chicago a number 1 seed? How is Bo Nix 10-2? Quarterback just doesn't matter. It's overrated. How is Caleb Williams 9-3 a number 1 seed? It's all very explainable. Go look at their O-lines. The top 4 O-lines in the NFL, none have a quarterback that's making the max money. There's 2 ways to win big in this league. Superstar quarterback, mostly taking a team-friendly deal, or a really talented quarterback, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, on a rookie deal. So I'll give you an example. I think what's underrated is how good Chicago and Denver's rosters are. If you're wondering how Bo Nix and Caleb could potentially end up as number 1 seeds and be so uneven, let me give you an example of how good the Bears and Broncos rosters are. Here are the 10 best players. Okay, and there are excellent players I'm not including. And I don't care what the order is, but I'm going kind of close. Nick Bonito, Denver. Patrick Surtain, 3-time Pro Bowler, Denver. Joe Tooney, Pro Bowler, 3 straight years. Darnell Wright, Chicago. Drew Dahlman, number 2 ranked center, PFF. Garrett Bowles, number 2 ranked left tackle, Denver. Hufanga, the safety. Unbelievable player, USC, San Francisco, and now in Denver. Montez Sweat, 7.5 sacks, game changer since he arrived defensively in Chicago. Quinn Miners, right now the number 1 guard on PFF. Kevin Byard leads the NFL in interceptions. I am not including in the top 10. Do you see how many offensive linemen were on that? Bears and Denver arguably have the best offensive lines in football. Detroit's up there. I didn't count Jalen Johnson, who's a Pro Bowler, but he's been hurt most of the year, so I won't count him. He may be their most talented defensive player. I'm not counting Zach Allen for Denver, who would start for every single team in the NFL, every single one. So when you're like, well, how does Bo Nix, how does Caleb Williams? Rookie contract, really, really high-end offensive coaches, unbelievable offensive lines. You don't have to complete 67%. You can be uneven. Now, what you hope is, over the next 2 to 3 years, Bo gets up to 66, Caleb gets up to 61.5, 62.5. And all the bumps in that uneven quarterback play. I mean, when Brady was at his best, you got the same Tom Brady literally every Sunday. He would throw picks, but it was the same guy. It was the same Peyton. It was the same Breeze. It's mostly the same Mahomes. But with these guys, you're not quite sure quarter to quarter, half to half what you get. If that evens out, and it needs to, because as you get paid more, think about this. How are these guys number 1 seeds? Caleb Williams' cap hit is only 15% of Dak Prescott's. Bo Nix' cap hit is only 8% of Dak's, which is a compliment to Dak because Dak has the number 1 offense and he's gobbling up so much of the money. So when you, great offensive coach, great offensive line, fairly underappreciated stacked rosters, that explains it.
I'd like to expand on this topic. particularly in light of Colin's recent comments regarding what he terms a quarterback derangement syndrome among Chicago Bears fans. It's a phenomenon I'm encountering directly, and I have to say, it's profoundly strange. As I've reiterated in previous discussions, I have been a defender of Caleb Williams from the instant he was selected by the Chicago Bears. I was also among those who argued against the sentiment of retaining Justin Fields and trading the top draft choice, a position I considered utterly irrational. Throughout every week last season, when the chorus of "he's a bust" grew loud, fueled by critiques of his body language and other peripheral issues, I stood my ground in his defense. I've been bluntly honest with the Bears fan base, cautioning them to be selective about who they listen to. The fan base is so enormous and passionate that media figures have openly admitted, Colin himself referenced this in an interview, that there is a powerful desire for this Chicago team to excel. The potential for ratings and viewership is astronomical. Consequently, many commentators have leaned into sensationalist takes about the Bears, and I've consistently warned, you all need to be careful. I even stated explicitly that it would be effortless for me to proclaim the Bears are Super Bowl bound. Such a declaration would be met with enthusiastic agreement, likely boosting my visibility and subscriber count. However, I refuse to participate in that charade. My objective is to foster authentic, grounded, and honest dialogue. Given this history of unwavering consistency in my analysis of Caleb Williams and the Bears organization, it feels particularly odd to now be in a position where I'm simply pointing out an observable fact. Caleb has been inaccurate. It's a current reality of his play. The backlash to this basic observation has been unhinged. I've been branded as virulently anti-Caleb, accused of hating him and the Bears, and of not wanting to see them succeed. The comments are relentless. They insist Caleb is the sole reason for their victories, that he's throwing perfect passes, and that any issues are solely due to receiver drops. The argument is often framed as, if you tally all the drops, what would his completion percentage be compared to Drake May? The discourse escalates to a point of genuine delusion. For instance, after the Bears defeated the Eagles, I noted that Caleb didn't have a particularly outstanding game and that the victory was a coaching masterclass, a Ben Johnson special. The reaction was incredulous. How dare I attribute success to coaching? The comments on that original video were dismissive and angry. In response, I created a separate video meticulously breaking down the run game schemes, illustrating how brilliant Johnson's play calling was. My point was, this analysis praises the Chicago Bears. Yet, the conversations surrounding this entire situation remain strangely distorted. There are two primary statistics I wish to highlight, but before I do, let's reestablish context. I am the commentator who, earlier in the season, before the bandwagon gained full momentum, stated that the Bears could contend for the NFC's top seed. I said that weeks ago. I didn't hear that narrative from First Take, The Herd, NFL Live, or any other major platform at that time. I introduced it. Furthermore, I identified that the passing game was struggling, and that the team was winning in spite of it, not because of it. Shortly after, Ben Johnson himself made similar remarks about the passing offense needing improvement, and I was criticized for having pointed it out earlier. Even when I later analyzed Johnson's quote, some argued I was taking it out of context, that he wasn't solely blaming Caleb. Of course, an NFL head coach isn't going to publicly single out his quarterback in that manner. There are always multiple factors. However, the central issue impeding the passing game's success is undeniably the quarterback's performance. As the wins accumulated, I observed that the team was leaving points on the field. I argued, look how potent this offense is already. Imagine how great they'll be once Caleb improves and runs the system more efficiently. They could be scoring 35+ points per game. I was the one who articulated that vision first. I also contended that given the unique landscape of this season, the Chicago Bears have as legitimate a chance to win the Super Bowl as any other top contender. In a typical year, with established powerhouses like the Ravens, Bills, Eagles, or Chiefs at their peak, the climb would be steeper. But the current parity opens a door for them. None of this, however, precludes us from having honest conversations about what we are witnessing on the field. All these perspectives can coexist. Multiple truths can be held simultaneously, a principle I emphasize weekly. Now to the data. In response to the persistent talk about dropped passes, let's examine adjusted completion percentage. This metric accounts for throwaways and dropped passes, isolating whether a quarterback is delivering accurate, catchable balls to his receivers. Drake May stands at 79.5%. Jared Goff leads the NFL at 81.2%. May also boasts an average depth of target of 9.2 yards, one of the highest in the league, making his accuracy even more impressive. The list continues with Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, and others. Notably, Bo Nix has suffered a league-high 31 drops. His adjusted completion percentage is 76.2%. Caleb Williams ranks dead last at 69.6%. He has 19 dropped passes. For context, Trevor Lawrence has 30 and Bo Nix has 31. Yet Williams is the only starting quarterback below the 70% threshold. Cam Ward, for example, is at 70.7%. The statistical reality is that he has not been accurate. This is a valid point of discussion. Shifting to on-target percentage, which strictly measures whether a pass is delivered accurately enough to be legitimately caught, the picture is similar. The league average is 75%. Caleb Williams is at the bottom with 67.3%. Dylan Gabriel, for comparison, is at 70.7%. While no one expects 80-90%, being the sole starter below 70% is significant. His bad throw percentage, where a higher number is worse, is 22.5%, the second highest in the NFL, trailing only Michael Penix Jr., 24%. These figures don't need to be halved to be concerning. They simply warrant acknowledgement and analysis. Further context is often cited. Perhaps a quarterback has more off-target throws because he attempts more difficult passes. However, data on the percentage of throws into tight windows contradicts this for Williams. He is again last in the league at 10.5%. This indicates his inaccuracy is not a byproduct of an exceptionally aggressive, high-difficulty passing diet, akin to a basketball player consistently taking logo threes. The numbers suggest the inaccuracy is occurring within a more standard range of attempts. Discussing this is not an indictment of Caleb Williams' future. No one is suggesting it's time to stick a fork in him, that he's overrated or being carried. That is a deliberate misinterpretation of nuanced analysis. It is equally insufficient to retreat to the cliché, he makes the plays when it matters most. While that sounds positive, it is not a substitute for tangible week-to-week execution, nor is it how a coaching staff conducts its evaluation. This is why I frequently reference turnover-worthy plays. It's a metric many struggle with. When I note, that pass should have been intercepted, the common retort is, but it wasn't. This fundamentally misunderstands professional coaching and player development. A coach and the player himself know when a dangerous decision was made. I recall a play against the Commanders where Caleb nearly threw a catastrophic pick six. The response from some fans was, "It wasn't intercepted, so it doesn't count. I can assure you, it counts." Caleb undoubtedly reviewed that play and thought, "I was incredibly lucky." Ben Johnson certainly addressed it in film review. "What were you thinking? You cannot make that throw." They don't dismiss it because the defense dropped the ball. Ignoring such moments is not how teams improve. It's how they remain stagnant. I find it remarkably frustrating when segments of a fan base attempt to police discourse, demanding that conversation be limited only to the win-loss column. That is the most superficial analysis possible. Should we only discuss the records of the top 4 teams and nothing else? Should we never unpack scheme, individual performance, or underlying trends? That approach is absurd and devoid of intellectual value. Colin is sensing this defensive, reactive energy, and I am experiencing it directly through the comments I read daily. I am creating this commentary to underscore a simple point. These statistical realities are occurring, and it is permissible to talk about them. It is acceptable that they are happening. Rookie quarterbacks often face such struggles. What is remarkable and exciting is that the Bears are winning despite these issues. If Caleb can progress and refine his accuracy, this team has the potential to become an absolute juggernaut. Acknowledging this growth trajectory does not make me aggressively anti-Caleb or anti-Chicago. The accusation is ludicrous. I considered reading specific comments here, but the exercise feels redundant. The sentiment is pervasive. You will undoubtedly see examples in the comments section of this very video. My position, I believe, is clear. I have highlighted that Caleb Williams is currently the most inaccurate quarterback in the NFL by key metrics. Simultaneously, I recognize that this high-powered offense is first in the NFC. It is acceptable that he is struggling as a rookie, even as he makes impactful plays and contributes to wins. He has undeniable room for growth. We are allowed, indeed we should, have honest, multifaceted conversations about the quarterback and the team. A victory is never just a victory, nor is a loss just a loss. If football were that simplistic, the postseason would always be a predictable procession of the highest seeds, and the team with the superior regular season statistics would win the Super Bowl every year. The sport is far more complex. When fans seek to shut down nuanced conversation, they are essentially stating that they do not wish to examine what is actually happening on the field. They prefer a monolithic narrative. Everything is perfect, the quarterback is flawless, the team is unbeatable. Any deviation from this is labeled as hate or doubt. This is not a functional or interesting way to engage with the sport.